Oxford House, time-tested, evidence-based addiction recovery homes.
In my addiction, I was homeless, living on the streets, living in abandoned houses, walking aimlessly in life, using drugs heavily, drinking very heavily, getting arrested several times. I was in and out of jails, treatment centers, trying to get sober, and just going back out there over and over again in a vicious cycle.
Several terms are used to describe recovery homes. The most common include halfway house, three-quarter house, sober living, and group home. Oxford House is unique and is in a category all its own. It differs from traditional sober residential environments in many ways. These unique characteristics can be found in the history of the organization, the structure model upon which all houses are built, and the documented benefits for both the member living in the home and the entire community.
The things that I learned in Oxford House are the most important to me is how do I get out of self, all right? Because when I got here, I was a very self-seeking, selfish individual, and I was compelled out of the gate to get involved in the service structure, not only on the house level, but on the chapter level. And so I did that, and in doing that, I learned how to be of service to others.
The first Oxford House opened in 1975 in Silver Spring, Maryland. It was co-founded by Paul Malloy, the current CEO of Oxford House. He and several other men were living in a county-funded, county-ran halfway house in their early recovery. They could not afford staff, so they decided to run the home themselves. They called it Oxford House. In order to protect their own recovery, they know they needed structure. 3 simple rules were established. 1. Oxford Houses operate democratically. There are no bosses. 2. Oxford Houses are fully self-supporting. The members pay all of the bills themselves. 3. Oxford Houses must expel any member who has a substance use recurrence. Alcohol and/or drug use is never tolerated.
While my sister picked me up from prison, I know that my relationship with my family was so damaged that I wouldn't be able to go back there. And I had a lot of work ahead of me to rebuild those relationships, but I needed a place to live and to get right. And Oxford House gave me that.
The men of the first Oxford House soon learned just how important their home was to the community and to the men and women in recovery who were seeking safety, support, and structure.
It finally felt like I had a life worth living because I wasn't alone. And, they've said that the opposite of addiction is connection. And I hadn't known what connection was like until I came into the walls of the Oxford House.
They filled up quickly and stayed full. One house turned into several houses within a few short years. Each time a house filled, another was opened. By the late 1980s and early 1990s, the buzz and excitement around Oxford House began to grow nationwide. Houses started opening at a rapid pace. Behavioral health divisions of federal and state government began to take notice and show support for Oxford House expansion.
I relapsed, and it was not good. I was drinking every day, I was drinking all day, and when my fiance came and picked me up one day, we got home and he said, "I can't do this anymore, it's over." And I looked at him straight in the eye and said, "If you kick me out of here, I've got no place to go. My parents aren't gonna take me, I've been drinking. I'm literally going to be under a bridge and I'm gonna die drinking."
Thousands of Oxford Houses now exist for men, women, women with children, and men with children. Hundreds of new houses continue to open each year. Most houses have a mix of single and double rooms with an average total count of 8 beds. A house manual was written in the early years to give guidance to new houses. Traditions were formed to protect the integrity of the Oxford House name and prevent houses from straying from the basic premise. Chapters were created so that clusters of houses could meet regularly to share their experiences, look into expansion, and address any problems within the homes. True, there is no authority inside each Oxford House. There is no house manager with power or control over the other members. But that does not mean responsibility and accountability are not present. The peer-led structure inside the home works because every member has a voice and a choice. To maintain order, Oxford Houses elect officer roles: president, secretary, treasurer, comptroller, and chore coordinator. Once a week, they have a business meeting to discuss the finances, house cleanliness, and supply inventory, and most importantly, the well-being of the home and its members.
You know, and when we got there for the first time, I seen just how the scope of the peer support in Oxford House. You know, there was men and women there talking about other houses and how they could help other houses and that what they were willing to do to help those other houses. And I thought, wow, you know, this is huge, you know, and I think that was the moment I was sold. You know, I wanted in on that.
Meetings are also held to accept new members when beds become vacant. Anyone seeking membership must schedule an interview with the house and receive an 80% acceptance before entering. Once moved in, each member is expected to participate in house meetings and chapter meetings, including the duties of an officer position once elected. They must maintain their recovery and remain abstinent. Because they all share the financial responsibility of rent, utilities, and supplies, each person must pay their portion on time.
I feel like the beauty of Oxford House is that separates it from any other sober living house is that we have thousands of houses nationwide, and that when you pay your equal expense share, it goes to that house. And if you get a fine, that fine goes to the house. It doesn't go to one person. We don't have managers. We don't have people who run the house. It's the people who live in the house who get to make the decisions and who get to decide where that money goes to. If it goes to a new TV or if it goes to a unity event that the house puts on. If you do a pizza night and a movie night, or you go out to dinner, that house can pay for it because that money goes to the house. It doesn't go to anybody else.
Oxford House encourages individuals to start taking responsibility for themselves. Self-confidence grows quickly in Oxford House as life skills are learned through daily living. As each Oxford House develops into a home, a family culture emerges. Chores are assigned each week and basic house guidelines are developed. Members interact frequently and support each other. Members who cannot stay sober, get too far behind in their equal expense share, or become disruptive by breaking house guidelines or acting out in inappropriate behavior are voted out of the house. Otherwise, there is no time limit on living in an Oxford House. Every so often, a house may face challenges it cannot overcome on its own. This is where the external service and support show up. Safety nets exist around every Oxford House to help out if vacancies become too high, checking accounts become too low, or the internal structure becomes too unstable.
My path to Oxford House, first and foremost, had to include a lot of trials and tribulations and a phone call. I had to reach out, I had to have enough of what I was doing and ask for help. And lucky for me that an Oxford House member answered the phone for me.
Nearby houses that belong to the same chapter will send their experienced members over to have special meetings and find solutions to most problems. Oxford House Inc., the 501c3 umbrella organization that charters each Oxford House, can often provide technical assistance to support new or struggling houses. The recovery community knows when experience, strength, and hope are freely shared, great things can be achieved.
Something that I'm very proud of today is that I'm a homeowner. You know, that was an idea that was just absolutely ridiculous to me. I never anticipated in my life that I would ever own a home. You know, and it was through the values of paying bills on time and the principle of being financially secured that I was able to do this, you know, and I learned these things from Oxford House.
Oxford Houses across the country are doing that every day. The success of Oxford House is well documented and has been studied for decades. Success in recovery is hard to measure. Recovery can have a different meaning depending on who you ask. Oxford House success, however, can be measured. It has been done several ways over several decades. DePaul University and other independent entities have looked into Oxford House to see how it all works. What they have found is remarkable. Quality of life goes up and costs to the community go down. Oxford Houses give people the time they need to become comfortable in recovery. Members enter Oxford House broken and often alone. They move out with a new lease on life as responsible, productive, and contributing members of the community. Members learn a new way to live. The cycles through treatment facilities and/or incarceration stop.
I love it. I love living in a community where everybody's on the same page. We are all about recovery, changing our lives, seeking a better future for ourselves, personal development. That is the pool that I needed to be in to become successful. I needed to be around like-minded people, doing the same things as I am, and seeking purpose in life. And living with people in recovery gave me that purpose.
Recovery can happen quickly in Oxford House because of the insulation of support. Shattered relationships begin to mend, and families begin to heal. Long-term recovery is achieved by over 80% of those who stay at least a year.
I learned so much in Oxford House that I've been able to apply to my life outside of Oxford House and my own, like the scheduling and the getting together and going over bills and paying them, balancing checkbooks. And in my house now with my partner, I've put the bills on a cork board, and we have structure around cleaning. So we do like a weekly deep clean. And then we also talk a lot about like different issues that we might be having in a way that is set up kind of like the new business section of our meetings in Oxford House, where it's like, hey, I have this issue and he can address that. And I don't know, it just helped in our relationship, and it's helped in maintaining a household.
Some who leave successfully become alumni members. They may leave the home, but they stay involved to pay it forward to the next newcomer.
I can't stress it enough that Oxford House gave me a chance when I needed it. And that's something that I will always want to make sure that everyone has that who wants it.
There is no financial cost to taxpayers for an Oxford House to exist. Each house supports itself. The only cost to the community is tolerance and understanding. Recovery can work for anyone, no matter what their active addiction looked like. Oxford House is proven to increase the chance of success. Hundreds of thousands of people have lived in Oxford House. Most have stayed sober. Oxford House is here to help, and we continue to unlock and open doors to meet the need. Oxford House provides a blueprint for success.
Oxford House has taught me so many different things, and I would not be where I'm at today if it wasn't for Oxford House.
To find an Oxford House with vacancies in your area, visit www.oxfordvacancies.com. Call the house of your choice to set up your interview today. To learn more about the history, structure, and success of Oxford House, please visit our official website, www.oxfordhouse.org.